War Eagle. If you could please have a seat. Thank you. Good afternoon. Today we are here to commemorate an important milestone in the history of Auburn University. We are here to honor and remember the legacy of Dr. Josetta Brittain Matthews. My name is Bobby Woodard, and I serve as the Vice President for Student Affairs here, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the event today. I would like to first start by welcoming a couple of our guests. First, I'd like to welcome Dr. Matthews' daughter, Dr. Heidi Wright, and her son, Jeffrey Wright. I would also like to recognize some of our special guests today. Members of the Auburn Board of Trustees, Trustee Bob Dumas, Trustee Elizabeth Huntley, and also the Honorable Gammiel Poindexter, and other friends of Dr. Matthews that made the trip up here to see this dedication day. So thank y'all for joining us today. Dr. Matthews' daughter, Heidi, is quoted as saying her mother not only made history, but she loved it. And history is what we have done here today in naming this building. Today, you'll hear more about the change that Dr. Matthews enacted here at Auburn University, an example that she set forth for those who follow her. The residence hall to your right, which is Eagle Hall, is home to Auburn's Honors College students, and how fitting is it to name a building that our Honor College students are in to honor someone who devoted her life to education, all while blazing a trail for those that would follow her in today. The students who live here are our best and our brightest students here at Auburn University. They're eager to learn and to grow in their degree. They're eager to learn and to grow and get in their degree here at Auburn University. And we know at the same time they will go and be lifelong educators and make a difference, much like Dr. Matthews did in her life. Today, we officially name the building Dr. Josetta Brittain Matthews Hall. And it is an honor for you to be here with us to make this happen. At this time, I would like to welcome our president, Dr. Jay Gogue.
Thank you, Bobby. This is a great day in the life of Auburn University. It's a great day. I feel honored just to be with you today and certainly want to welcome each one of you here. Dr. Matthews, I want you to think about it. A real trailblazer, obviously, a person that went to Indiana University for her undergraduate degree. She came to Auburn in 1964, and she was one of the very earliest. Harold Franklin had actually integrated Auburn in 1962, so she came very close after that. She earned a master's degree in 1966 and stayed and got a doctoral degree in 1975. A person that cares deeply about education and certainly deeply about Auburn University. She was the first African-American female to receive a degree at Auburn University. The Board of Trustees honored her in 2005, I believe it was, with an honorary doctorate. And for those of you in higher ed, you know that receiving an honorary doctorate is really one of the highest awards that you can receive on behalf of an institution. So a very special person. We're just very honored to be able to name this facility after her. You have some great speakers up here today that are going to share personal and life stories. And I want to start by calling on Board of Trustee member Liz Huntley. Dr. Huntley.
Thank you, President Gogue. And it's such an honor to be here today for yet another historic naming. We've been busy at Auburn. With me and one of my colleagues, Bob Dumas, who serves on the Board of Trustees, not just the Board of Trustees, but also on the Board of Trustee Task Force on Diversity. And we've taken a look at some things on campus, and in doing so, and in canvassing our campus and our buildings, we recognize that there was not one single building on this campus that bared the name of an African-American alumni, and we wanted to do something about it. And in doing that, we thought it was very fitting, and those of you who are here know that this is round 3, the Harold Melton Building, just this Friday, the Dr. Bessie Mae Holloway Building, and then today, on this very special occasion, the Dr. Matthews Building. And let me just say this, that Dr. Harold Franklin started something. He came to this campus and became the first Black student to attempt to assimilate in a time of great angst and hostility. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know him. I didn't have the pleasure of getting to know Dr. Matthews. People that have gone through those types of things are just my heroes. They're so courageous in their ability to withstand those moments of adversity for a cause. Very fitting that she was a faculty member of history, right? Because she made history and is making history today. But Harold Melton set out to start something, which was to get an Auburn degree. And unfortunately, there was a pocket on our campus that became a barrier to him doing that. And then came along Dr. Matthews, and she finished what Harold Franklin started and became not just an Auburn student who was of color, but became an Auburn graduate of color. And what a momentous task that was. Now, what I'm proud of is that clearly, without the benefit of having spoken to her family to know about her experiences, Auburn did something right that time, right? We had to. She came back. Who comes back if they ain't welcome, right? So we did something right that time. And she had a positive experience, one that was positive enough for her to come back, and not come back to this university to get her doctorate, but to come back to this university and serve among its faculty, being the first African-American faculty member, knowing that she's walking into an environment that along with it comes some level of hostilities, some things that she would have to endure. But clearly the love, or I'm putting words in her mouth and her family can speak to this, but certainly a positive enough experience that she wanted to be back here, and she wanted to assimilate among our faculty, and she wanted to teach and shape the Auburn students as they matriculated along their process, in spite of what ideas or thoughts they may have had about her because of her race. Now, that is a woman of humility, that is a woman of courage, and that is a woman of compassion. But you know, educators are like that, right? I kind of have a love affair of them. I'm married to a history teacher myself. So as we honor the life of Dr. Josetta Brittain Matthews, who set forth a path of excellence for so many Auburn students to come as the first Black student to graduate from Auburn, and also our first Black faculty member, today's naming is a continuation of all that encompasses her legacy, a lasting foundation that at its cornerstone holds the belief that with perseverance and adversity and work, hard work, we're familiar with that line here at Auburn, anything is possible. In acknowledging the hard work and advancement that Dr. Matthews accomplished and furthered, Auburn is again affirming its commitment to long-term deliberative work needed in advancing a culture of inclusivity that will serve to further unite our strong Auburn family. You see, she got it. You know, it's very important for you as a student, whether you're K-12 or higher ed, to see those that look like you, that are educating you. And she understood that and took that challenge on when she could have gone anywhere in a more comfortable setting. And now she's doing it again, posthumously, with her name on a building at a time, once again, affirming to all of our students of color that Auburn embraces all of its family, no matter your race. And we're proud of that. So on behalf of the Auburn University Board of Trustees, I'm pleased to see such continued movement towards progress, and it is only fitting that we meet here today to name the Students' Residence Hall in Dr. Matthews' honor. knowing her long-lasting contributions to students will be forever remembered as they pass by this hall's new esteemed name. So today, as we look to the past and see where we've come and where we're headed, we wish to show that appreciation to Dr. Matthews for everything that she's done for this institution in upholding the ideals of the Auburn Creed and in forging a brighter future in which all can excel and thrive. And to see the continuation of Dr. Matthews' legacy, you need not look any further than the Residence Hall, but also to see it in person and to hear from her daughter, Dr. Heidi Brittain Matthews Wright, who just this past year earned her doctorate of philosophy degree in special education from Auburn and is now teaching special education here. Having a daughter myself, I love like mother, like daughter, don't you? Is that not great? So again, I said we must be doing something, right? They keep coming back. Keep sending the Matthews. We love it. So with that in mind, I thank you all for being here for this grand event, and I now invite Trustee Dumas and Dr. Wright to join me for the presentation of the resolution. And it reads, whereas Josetta Brittain Matthews received a master's degree in education from Auburn University in 1966 and a second master's degree in the same discipline from Auburn University in 1974, and whereas Dr. Matthews became the first African-American to graduate from Auburn University, and whereas Dr. Matthews became the first African-American faculty member at Auburn University, and whereas Dr. Matthews joined the School of Arts and Sciences of Auburn University, now known as the College of Liberal Arts, as a history professor, and whereas Dr. Matthews had a distinguished career as an educator at various institutions, including, and most importantly, Auburn University, for the better part of her life, and whereas Dr. Matthews pursued a doctoral degree in social science education at Auburn University, whereas Dr. Matthews was awarded an honorary doctoral degree in education from Auburn University in 2005, and whereas Dr. Matthews' historic graduation from Auburn University paved the way for other African Americans and minorities to pursue an education at Auburn University and join the Auburn family. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn University that the Residence Hall previously identified as Eagle Hall in the village community be named Josetta Brittain Matthews Hall, in recognition of her monumental and historic contributions as the first African-American to graduate from Auburn University and the first African-American faculty member to serve at Auburn University.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Trustee Huntley, for your kind words, and to all that are here today in paying this special tribute to my mother. I know she would be delighted and truly humbled by this overwhelming acknowledgement of all that she accomplished. The Brittain Matthews legacy is surely promoted by having this residence hall named for my mother, fondly known by me as Mommy. Auburn has always held such a special place of honor with our family, and my mother was dedicated to living out the ideals of the Auburn Creed. Being here on campus brings back many memories. Although my mother's time as a student did not come without certain challenges, she met a lot of very nice people here at Auburn University. She also flourished as a result of all of that, and she began teaching her favorite subject of history here. To know my mother was to have a front row seat to a true historian. She knew how to connect all things with the past and put them in a proper context with current events. She did this in such a way as to make history relatable and understandable and fun to anyone, certainly a great trait that served her well as a devoted and successful educator. She had a great memory, and she loved to make you laugh when she talked about history. Her classes would always fill up with students who were eager to learn, whether it be women's history, American history, world history, or Black history, you name it, and she could tell you all about it. I do have one special memory that I'd like to share with you. And let me say that education started very early for me with the importance of homework. As a very young child, I always remember coming home and seeing my mom sitting at the table. And we had this little round table, and she would always have her book open, a pencil or pen, her pad, her writing pad, or either some index cards. And she would always, and she was a lefty, so it always kind of stuck out to me. She'd always be this way. And she was always getting her homework. And so by this time, she was in the doctoral program at Auburn. And and oftentimes, a lot of times too, I would see her sitting there with that Smith Corona typewriter, the manual typewriter. I'm dating myself, but yeah. And so looking at this, I wanted to be like my mom. So when I had the opportunity to emulate her, I did. And I did this by doing my homework. So I had my book, my pencil, and my paper, just like my mom. And so back then, my mother had really long days because she would go to Tuskegee University and teach a half a day, and then she would go, back then it was Tuskegee Institute, and then she would also come to Auburn and go to class, and then drive back home to Montgomery, and this was pre-interstate days. And so she would come back home and take care of me, wake up the next day and do it all over. So by the time she would do all of that, when she got home, my homework was always done. And by me doing that, when she got home, I always got to go out and play. So that was like my beginning. Watching my mom do homework, so I always did my homework. So that was how I learned about, how important education was, because I always saw my mom. And so to all of those who are honor dorm residents and also the Matthews Scholarship recipients, I say to you, you've already accomplished so much and made my mother proud, just as my mother did for me. Now you must set the tone for those following you who are in your family and community. And here today, that word history resonates, once again being brought to mind as we examine what it means to have a building here on Auburn's campus named for an African American woman, the second such naming to occur in the past week, and the third this year in honor of an African American alumni. You see, sometimes history can be ignored or far worse, erased. But with these recent namings, Auburn is taking a big step in the other direction, acknowledging the accomplishments of its Black alumni, more fully telling the story of its past, and giving hope and encouragement to all students in their pursuit toward a brighter future. I was one of those Auburn students who followed in the footsteps of my mother, with everything coming full circle as I achieved my doctorate from Auburn, just like my mother. This past year, and again just like my mother, I began teaching for this university in the field of special education. I recall my first day at Auburn. I got out of my car and I'm walking toward the bus station, going to the Heidi Center, and it was a magical moment for me. I just took in all of the campus in its glory, and it took me back to those days of coming up here with my mother, and it was truly just a special moment for me as a graduate student at Auburn. And also, just like my mother, I met a lot of very nice people, many of whom are here today. My mother received her graduate degree from Indiana University, Bloomington campus. It was there that she met her best friend in college, Gammiel Poindexter. Judge Gammiel Poindexter was the first African-American woman elected Commonwealth attorney for the county of Surrey, Virginia. Gammiel became the first African American elected to the district court for the 6th Judicial District by the Virginia Assembly. Judge Poindexter is here today to offer a few words of her own about my mom. Both went on to be quite successful in their own right. My mom in education and Judge Poindexter in law. I'm thrilled to have you here today with us, Judge Poindexter, Gammiel as I fondly call her. And I welcome you to the podium to share your thoughts for today.
Thank you so much. I don't know, thank you, Heidi. I don't know how to express to you how I felt when I walked up here to these steps and looked up and saw this name. And I'm gonna have to read it because I knew her as Josetta, but Dr. Josetta Brittain Matthews' name written on this building. It was an experience because I go back, I want to take you back to the fall of 1961. This is 60 years ago in Indiana University when both of us entered IU. And that's a very large university, I think that you agree, a very large university, very few blacks. And Josetta and I were in the School of Government, and there were very few women. How many women majors you had in 1961? So I start off there, and I see her name there, and I'm so moved and so touched about it. And I just want to say a few things about Josetta. She was very smart. She was in the prestigious honors program at IU. And so what that really meant is she and I really never had classes together because she's in the class with 30 and I'm in the class with 300 people and everything. And it's I guess it was a period of isolation. I'm saying this because I can imagine when Josetta got here in 1965, it wasn't a whole lot different from IU in 1961. But you're young people, and there's an awful lot of isolation. That's what I like to say. You start off in the morning, and you may not have a soul speak to you all day long. And you wouldn't have another black or maybe sometimes another woman in your class all day long. But you just keep on moving on. But what she did was when she finished IU, she came here across the University of Auburn. I don't know if many of you know, her father was an educator, a PhD graduate from IU, and he encouraged her. This is the way I knew this story. He encouraged her to come to Auburn and to further her education. And what that mean, I think, for Josetta at that time is that she wasn't trying to break any barriers. She wasn't trying to be the first. You know, you don't get to be the first until years and years later. You just come on out and you go to school because it's convenient, because they have a program that you are interested in. And I think most important, this is what I want to say, because you have the right to be here. Even though this might have been an all-white institution, nor it was predominantly white, Josetta had the right. She was Alabama, if you want to put it like that. She was from Alabama. But she had the right to be here. And she came, and she did very well. And I think for her that it was a very good experience for her. And she went on and got her doctorate here. But what I want to say to you, I just want to say a little bit about her personal qualities, about my friend. You know, she was a real fighter, and she dealt with some adversities in her life. I don't know how many of you knew she struggled with blindness at a very early age, and she had some other health issues. But you know what she would tell me? She said, Gammiel, I'm gonna fight for my independence, and I'm gonna be productive as long as I can. And that is the Josetta that I remember. And she did. She stayed, am I right, Heidi? There's a sister sitting here. She stayed independent. She insisted on living independent and going about her life. And she did that very well. So I want to say to those of you, board members, others, I want to say to you who made the decision to name this dormitory on campus after Dr. Matthews, I want to say to you, you could not have picked a better choice. Your students can sleep at night knowing that their home away from home is named after a proud and brave African-American woman who met head on many challenges in her life. She fought many battles, personally and professionally. But most important, she survived and she thrived. She has a beautiful family. She's had a beautiful life. I'm so sorry that she could not be here to share this day with us. But I know she would be very honored and very pleased. And it just means so much to me that you have invited me to share the day with you. And I want to also recognize we have two other IU alums, classmates of Josetta, who were on her Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority line. These are Claudia and Joanne. Claudia's from Indianapolis, Joanne from South Carolina. And I just want to say this. I have a friend who drove me down here from Alabama, Richard Dickinson. Where is Richard? He'd be so mad if I don't call his name. Where is he? But Richard would take me, I would fly to Birmingham, and he would take me to Montgomery. He'd take me to Montgomery for 2 or 3 times to see Josetta. So it's been a long journey. I think it's been a wonderful conclusion for Dr. Matthews, and thank you again for having me.
Okay. Thank you again, Judge Poindexter, for sharing your memories of my mom and for being such a great friend throughout the years. Now, as we reflect, we also look ahead. I'm excited for a future in which we embrace the untold trailblazers who helped shape and form this great university and the ideals it represents. I commend Auburn for doing all it is doing to advance the cause of greater inclusion, diversity, and equity for all in the Auburn family. I again thank you for being here to celebrate with me this special moment for my family. And now, Dr. Woodard.
Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Wright. Thank you for being here with us. You heard about the perseverance of Dr. Matthews, and this is what happens, is a great Auburn woman, and today we get to celebrate her. So at this time, we are going to close our formal ceremony. Today, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us, especially your friends and family, making the travel to make this special for us at Auburn University, because she's already made it special for all of us at Auburn. And this time, I would like to ask for Dr. Wright and Judge Poindexter to please, with the stage party, move over, and we're going to do the unveiling. Yeah, we're going to Dr. Josetta Brittain Matthews Hall. At this point in time, we will finish taking initial pictures over there, and then the general audience can go over there and take pictures if you would like as the stage party finishes up. Thank you again for joining us today, and War Eagle.